Hi everybody, just wanted to record a quick video going over just briefly, very briefly, try to keep this 5 to 10 minutes, the three sections that I'm assigning you this week in class. So we're in chapter 19 called Industrialization and Nationalism. I'm actually looking at my textbook right here. Section 2 is Reaction and Revolution. This was, I think I gave you the questions for this before we left, way back on March 13th. So those are going to be due, I think, Wednesday. Check Infinite Campus on that. And then you have notes over section 3 and 4 due Thursday and Friday. Reaction, Revolution. So the first section of chapter 19 talked about the Industrial Revolution, and then section 2 talks about the reaction to some of the things going on in Europe, going back actually to the French Revolution. Section 2 talks about, for instance, the Congress of Vienna on page 589, which installs this idea of balance of power, where no one nation in Europe has become so powerful where it can rule over all the other nations. And then section 2 moves to focusing on a couple ideas. Conservatism, which is going back to the way things were, specifically monarchy, and then liberalism. Liberalism goes along the lines of, wanting written freedoms, Bill of Rights, those types of government privileges. Also talks about nationalism, which is going to play into the next section. And then a little bit on 592 on the revolutions of 1848 in France, where they established a republic and universal male suffrage. Also the revolutions in Germany in 1848, which were unsuccessful. But then Germany is going to be talked about again in section 3. And then also the Italian states, which are also moving into section 3, called national unification and the national state on 596. We're going to get finally not only Italian unification, led by Giuseppe Garibaldi and Camillo di Cavour, but also German unification, with Otto von Bismarck and Prussia, the largest state in Germany, leading the cause for German unification. So that's talked about in section 3, and then on page 600 there's a section called Nationalism and Reform in Europe, which will go over France, Great Britain, Austria, Russia. Russia, talk about Tsar Alexander II. And the Emancipation Manifesto, which is agreed to in Russia in 1861. That's a couple years before the Emancipation Proclamation in the United States that frees the serfs in Russia. It does free serfs, but in a lot of cases, serfs' lives in Russia were not that much better off, and we'll later talk about why. Also on 602, it does talk about nationalism in the United States with the Civil War, fought from 1861 to 65, and then the emergence of Canada, breaking free, or at least establishing the Dominion of Canada in 1867. The last part of chapter 19 deals with culture. Because we're not in school, I'm not going to have to show you, paintings and artistic works, but there are some things in this section. But section 4 is titled Romanticism and Realism. Romanticism is kind of using emotion and imagination to get you to the truth, and realism, as you would think, is just realistic portrayals of daily life. There's a movement in artwork in the 19th century on realistic portrayals. And then, it also talks about scientific advancements like pasteurization, talks about Charles Darwin and natural selection. So all these things are happening in the rest of chapter 19. Make sure that you're looking on Teams and in IC. I've got everything posted in there, attachments. Our audio chat this week is going to be on a woman who's writing in the early 1800s about the lives of women, Flora Tristan. We'll talk about that in our chat on Wednesday. And then the discussion board is based off a one-page reading in chapter 19. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please email me. And I hope you guys are healthy and safe. And I miss you, and we will talk soon.